Why can't we just share data with all of these agencies? Number one, we are overstretching the resources that we do not have. So because beyond just capturing this data, you actually spend a lot of money to keep the data.
Sometimes I think it's deliberate.
You think it's deliberate?
Yes. Sometimes I think it's deliberate for us not to have a synergy when we talk about these things, because our politicians have found a very, very subtle means to discredit, to take advantage of the loopholes of the system to have their way when it comes to elections.
This is Soup Business Landscape.
The number of Nigerians enrolled for the national identification number rose to 123.9 million, according to the data from the National Identity Management Commission. Now, the figure includes both domestic and diaspora enrollments, reflecting ongoing efforts to expand the national identity database. Now, the agency says that the surge aligns with the government's digital identity drive and its integration with key services such as banking, telecom, and social programs. Now, are we looking at more of banking, telecom, or social programs, or government planning?
It just shows the number of people they've been registering over time. So at the end of the day, if we look at this data, we'll find out that maybe eventually the people that are still alive are maybe like 90 million. Because if you started this over 10 years ago, I think it's about almost going to 20 years when this agency was established and they started collecting data. So many people have died in the process. So that's why I said the data is greatly flawed. And we've been talking about data sharing and intelligence sharing. We have not seen that, because I dropped somebody at the bank this morning to open an account, one of the IJGBs. He has his NIN, and they are still asking for BVN. So, and he's wondering, in America with my social security, that's all I need to do, everything that I need to do. So why do I need to do another biometry? Then if you want to register to vote, you do another biometry. Like, why can't we just share data with all of these agencies? Number one, we are overstretching the resources that we do not have. So because beyond just capturing this data, you actually spend a lot of money to keep the data. You have data centers, you have the cloud, you are paying for it. So why is government, and it's the same federal government, you are paying to keep the data for NIN, you are paying to keep the data of BVN, you are paying to keep the data for
voters card.
And God knows.
National passport.
Do you understand? So we're not sharing NIN and international passports. They share data now.
Yes.
Because on your international passport, you see your NIN. But that is after we cried and cried and cried. But we need to find one number for everybody. How many numbers do you want to cram as a Nigerian citizen? You want to cram your NIN number. You want to cram your passport number, voters card, BVN. You cannot even do any transaction in the bank without your BVN. So it's too much. It's too much. And when things become complex like this, it gives room for fraud, and people will manipulate it. It should just be one number that is impenetrable. That is what we should see. And we should find a way to update on death records. When people pass on, we should find a way so that NIN can update their records, because people can now start using NIN identity of dead people to open a bank and start committing fraud.
Okay, even while it's also necessary, during the last election, we saw names of boxers in the United States. We saw Mike Tyson. We saw Evander Holyfield. Now, let's get to this. He has mentioned this duplicity of agencies doing almost the same thing that we need to collapse. But now let's get to government planning. We are looking at a budget of 54-point-something billion. And if we say, okay, let's know how many of us we are even catering for in the first place, let's divide the entire budget with the number of people. Now, these are different mathematics that will sort out a lot of all different things. But for planning's sake, do we need a census, or do we need to focus on registration?
We need a census, because sometimes I wonder when the Minister of Budget and National Planning comes out and they draw the budget in collaboration with the ministries, departments, and agencies, and the debt management office, and I just look, okay, where did you get your data from? Budget and national planning, what are you planning for? How many do you think we are? Some records will say 219 million people. Some records, they just give different records. Which one are you relying on? I'm sure he can't even answer. And some of the responsibilities that should be handled by the different tiers of government that should give us the details or some of this data that should enable us to plan well, either at the subnational level or the national level. We are not allowing them to do their function. Just the local government we talked about, he was saying that, okay, how do we know the number of people that have died and the number of people that are still alive? It is a core responsibility of the local government in whose vicinity you have some of the clinics, some of the maternity homes and the hospitals where these pregnant women went to give birth. The local government, the hospital, that's the local government. You go and get a registration of birth from the local government. That means the local government
and a death certificate.
And that of the death certificate, because the local government will now be equipped with the equipment to register and the infrastructure to register the number of deaths and the number of births within its vicinity, and there will be a tier of government collaboration between the state government and the local government. They pass that data to the relevant authority at the state government level. That data is also being transferred to the level of government at the national level to the relevant ministry, department, and agencies. So there is a synergy amongst these three tiers of government, for which you equally have relevant ministry, department, or agencies at these different tiers of level that will harness this data, either for development reasons, for infrastructural development, or giving the people social amenities and also fighting crime. But if these agencies or these tiers of government are not working in that, we're not going to get it.
Okay.
And sometimes I think it's deliberate.
You think it's deliberate?
Yes. Sometimes I think it's deliberate for us not to have a synergy when we talk about these things, because our politicians have found a very, very subtle means to discredit, to take advantage of the loopholes of the system to have their way when it comes to election. Okay. Because if we have a central point where we have this data, then we know that we have brought down the labor of work for INEC, including the state electoral commissions, in the sense that they have an available data. So from the local government, they can know that, oh, this guy is registered in a Limosho local government area for his voter, but you know what, he's dead. Okay, so they don't need, and we have our court cases when it comes to election reduce, because you don't want to hear the court when they start telling you our number of court cases that we have pursuing.